I think we started getting like so focused on theater because we really realized how much it can be used as a tool for mindset change, like changing people's minds about sex work, about red light areas, about these girls.
डांस करने से मेरा थेरेपी जैसा बढ़ जाता है.
गाना गाती हूँ तो मैं शांत रह पाती हूँ.
मैं एक्टिंग इसलिए कर रही हूँ कि मुझे बहुत पसंद है.
Strength and the ability of human spirit to bounce back.
I welcome Kranti to Chicago.
When I was 10, I was abused. What happened to you when you were 10?
What happened to you when you were 10? What happened to you when you were 10?
I spent the first third of your show crying.
The people who don't believe in what we do are never going to believe in what we do.
तू दिमाग बेचकर कमाती है तो गलत नहीं है. तो मैं शरीर बेचकर कमाती हूँ तो गलत क्यों है?
I really admire you girls for the smile, the braveness to come out and say what has happened in your life.
मैं चीखती रही, चिल्लाती रही, पर किसी ने मेरी आवाज़ नहीं सुनी.
मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए आप सबको देख के.
मैं थक गई, मेरे पैर थक गए.
नाच.
मैं नहीं नाचूंगी.
नाच.
The way Jaya's done theatre with them is extremely therapeutic for them.
Thank you for coming to share your story.
Next station, red light area.
अरे लड़की लोग कुछ कमाया कि नहीं कमाया?
100-200 रुपए.
Why do you call it red light area? Again and again.
We want to say yes, we are from that red light area.
बोले तो कमाटीपुरा.
उम्र हो जाते थे लोग को 50-60 रुपए में उन लोग काम करते हैं.
We could all, between us try to explain to them why they should change the way that they think or the way that they talk about themselves, or we can take on the task of changing the world's perspective, and that's what we've chosen to do.
अगले शो में हमारा जहाँ पे भी होगा तुम दोनों का रोल इंटरचेंज होगा.
जटाटवी कलज्वल प्रवाह पावितस्थले.
Do you want to change the story?
Yes.
Do you want to change the story?
Yes.
Do you want to change the story?
There is no education that can replace the kind that they're receiving now by traveling and interacting with numerous people.
The survivors of trafficking that we meet in New York, and then there's these multi-million-dollar houses in Naperville, Illinois, and the world between those and the difference between those.
वही तो challenging था कि घर ढूंढना, because किसी को भी हमारे background के बारे में पता चलता है तो everyone avoid.
क्यों हम नॉर्मल जिंदगी नहीं जी सकते हैं?
He sexually abused me when I was young.
हर एक पल याद आ रहा था कि उसने कब मुझे किस जगह पर मारा.
मैं प्राउडली बोलना चाहूँगी कि हाँ मैं रंडी की बेटी हूँ, बट आज उसकी बेटी बहुत आगे बढ़ी.
Everyone's wounded in some way. Everyone, poor, rich, American, Indian, Asian, white, black, everyone is.
Yes, we are wounded, but you're wounded healers. And so everywhere you go, you heal.
I'm going to take your smiles and use that as my strength all the time.
The real answer is that I just want all of them to live happy lives, right?
मुस्कुराने की वजह.
There are some girls who we work with who really struggle with like depression, self-harm. Everything looks nice and pretty on a stage and beautiful in a play, but there's a lot of things that we really, really struggle with. And if those girls can just make it through life without committing suicide, or like if they can just survive life and be happy and quit harming themselves, that's it. Yeah, can everyone hear me? Yes, I can barely see you guys. Cool. Good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's such a privilege, I think, always to speak to young people, because it's always, of course, young people who are changing the world and shaping the world for the future.
So I'm glad that you guys are taking the time to learn from all these interesting stories and think about what you want to do. And for those of you who are a little bit older, just like me, who already, or might be on some path, I hope that, one of the things I'm about to share will give you a little bit insight to how you want to change the world yourself. So basically, I am the co-founder of Kranti NGO, which empowers girls from Mumbai's red light areas to become agents of social change. So we work with about 25 girls who are survivors of trafficking, daughters of sex workers, or girls who are born and raised mostly in Kamatipura red light area. This is Vani Das, my co-founder of Kranti NGO. And we've been doing this work for 7 years, but honestly, I think we both agree that we have the best job on earth. Not because, there's hard times, there's plenty of issues, we've been to jail, we've been beaten up by the police, we've done quite a few interesting things in our life. But I think that the most valuable thing that we have gotten out of the work that we do is the opportunity to learn and grow every single day, every single day. So I'm going to be really generous and share with you what I've learned in the past 7 years in about 7 minutes. So I would recommend you take out some notes because I'm about to give you the biggest lessons. And I'm just kidding about the notes. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is the purpose of life. Raise your hand if you know the purpose of life. A couple people, wow, great. Cool. I think that the purpose of life is to seek and spread happiness. Everything that we do, whether it's about the friends that we meet, the work that we do, anything that we do it because we think it's going to get us one step closer to happiness. Sometimes we might be doing things because it's going to earn us money. What's going to happen with money? That's going to get us one step closer to happiness, right? But I think that when I learned this was when I met 9-year-old, well, Pinky was 14 when she came to us, but at the age of 9, she'd been trafficked and sold into sex work by somebody, a relative, and basically spent 4 or 5 years being sexually abused and having to sleep with a lot of men. And when she came to us, of course, she had some mental health issues. She self-harms still a little bit. She doesn't have the best coping mechanisms. But you know what she does have? She has a smile on her face almost all day. She is our house clown. She is the person who makes every single person laugh every single day, guaranteed. And whenever I'm down or feeling like, oh, something is hard, this isn't working out, I just look at her and I think, you know what? If she has enough reasons to laugh during the day, so do I. So I think when I look at her, it just really makes me realize that no matter what your past has been, no matter what you've gone through, this moment right now, you can choose whether or not to be happy, right? The second thing that I've learned is the definition of success. I think, raise your hand if you know the definition of success. 1? Okay. 2? All right. So I, of course, I'm Indian American, also grown up in this very, you must be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer or something, and that's success, right? But when I came to Kranti, we started taking in a lot of girls who didn't meet that bracket of success. So one girl who came to us at 17, she'd only studied in 4th and 7th, and from the age of 12, she started working as a domestic worker. And she would have to work in somebody's house every day until she finished all of her work, and that's when she would get 1 meal for the day. And we put her in 10th when she came to Kranti, and she kept failing. She failed 10th 2 times. And finally, the therapist said to us, why don't you let her pursue something that she enjoys doing instead of forcing her to study? You know what she really loved? She loved playing the drums. So we put her in lots of drum classes, and then we applied to every single music school in India. And every single music school said, we can't take her. She doesn't speak English. She hasn't passed 10th. She's not going to be successful here. So then we said, screw you to India, and we applied to 2 in the UK and 2 in the US. She was accepted everywhere, and she got a scholarship to study drums in Washington for 9 months. She's returned to India, and she now works as a music therapist using the djembe to work with children, marginalized kids all over Pune, Mumbai, a couple other cities, Bangalore as well. And basically she works with, of course, children of sex workers, but children of migrant laborers, children from slums, Teach for India, Kansha classrooms, things like that. And now to me, the definition of success is a smile on her face when she's drumming, and the smile on the faces of all those kids who would never hold a drum if it wasn't for her. Who cares if she hasn't passed 10th? Right? And the third biggest thing I've learned is how to lead a meaningful life. Raise your hand if you have meaning in your life. Excellent. Many more. Excellent. I've learned what the meaning of life, how to bring meaning to your life. I've learned that from sex workers. And I've been so privileged, Bani even more than me, to work with a lot of sex workers and meet and spend time with them the past few years. And you know why they have meaning in their lives? Because every single sex worker who does what she does it for somebody else. She's not doing sex work to feed herself. She's doing sex work so her kids can go to English schools. She's doing it so her kids can move out of the red light area and have a different job. She's doing it so her kids can have a better life than she's had. Right? And one of the most amazing, amazing human beings I've met in my life is this completely illiterate sex worker. we tend to think that it's people who have, you know, lots of degrees and lots of money who are the people with meaning in their lives. But this woman, completely illiterate, never been to school a day in her life, also trafficked at age 9, was a sex worker, still is a sex worker. And this woman, we had another girl in our house whose mother passed away. And a lot of times when people die in the red light area, if they don't have family, there's nobody to cremate them, nobody to bury them, nothing. And when this girl's mother died, she said, "You don't worry about anything, I'm going to take care of everything." And she's since committed that every single person who dies in the red light area, it doesn't matter how many hours she has to work, she's going to make sure that they're cremated or buried. We think of ourselves as generous when we give a couple of rupees to somebody who's begging outside our window. I think we can all agree that sex work is not the easiest job in the world, but these women wake up every day, do this job because they want to improve the lives of somebody else. And this woman literally says, "I will sleep with as many people as I need to in order to make sure that every sex worker has a proper burial." So, yes, indeed, I think some of these women... I was actually going to bring one of them, if, you know, but she wasn't available. Basically, I think that this is all, we always think that, you know, it might be schools where learning happens, it might be our universities, it might be, you know, spaces that we've traditionally thought of as places to learn. But I hope this video really showed you that learning goes much beyond a classroom. Sometimes it goes towards, whether it's about healing or about helping other people heal. Or it's about becoming a drummer and helping every single marginalized kid that you can touch by helping them have therapy, right? And so I personally am deeply inspired by all of these people that I meet every single day. And just one last component, I'm sure you guys are wondering what on earth a woman with an American accent is doing in the red light area, right? I grew up in the US and of course with the same ideas about being a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, all of those things. So I'm not successful because of the work that I do, right? But I also grew up in a home, in a house, a really big house that had 3 cars and 2 parents. And both of my parents had mental illnesses. My mother has schizophrenia and my father was bipolar. And my earliest childhood memories are of my parents trying to burn each other with irons and my sister and I trying to break them up. So I think at a very early age, I realized that meaning and happiness and success, and none of these things ever come from having money and having a house. Because guess what? I had all of that growing up. But we didn't have peace, we didn't have love, we didn't have happiness, right? So I would like to encourage all of you to just think of these girls' stories. Take some time today when you go home to please think about the purpose of life, your definition of success, and of course, how you want to live a meaningful life. Thank you.